In today's video, you're going to get to see a stunning 1950 Hudson. Hello everybody and welcome to Classic Car ChitChat. My name is Kevin. I am thrilled you're joining me today. I have the pleasure of introducing you to a gentleman. His name is Gino. Gino owns a very special car indeed. This is a 1950 Hudson. It is the Pacemaker edition. It's stunning. It's this cream color. He's owned it for about 5 years now. Originally, there was an ad in the Hudson Essex Terraplane group. He saw the car, he fell in love, and what's not to love about this car? She's absolutely stunning in every way imaginable. It's a convertible too. In 1954, Hudson merged with Nash and eventually formed AMC. So the car is really special. What makes it even more interesting is that the Hudsons were actually built in both Detroit and in Tilbury, Ontario. So without further ado, let's hop in, let's go for a drive, and let's check out this beautiful 1950 Hudson Pacemaker. Oh my God, Gino, she's gorgeous. Rev the engine for me, sir.
Sure.
And honk the horn.
Got dual horns on this car.
Beautiful. Turn her off. Gino, she is beautiful.
Thank you.
Tell me what you have here.
This is a 1950 Hudson Pacemaker Convertible Brougham. And it was produced by the Hudson Motor Car Company, and it belongs to myself and my wife, Mary Ann.
How long have you had this car?
We've only had this car since 2017. And we bought it through an ad that was in the Hudson Essex Terraplane Club magazine. And it was bought from a member in Michigan, but the car was originally sold new in New Mexico and spent up to about the year 2000 in New Mexico.
Where were these actually made?
Hudson produced its cars in Detroit, but they also produced cars here in Canada, in Tilbury.
Tilbury, Ontario?
Tilbury,
Really?
Ontario.
Okay.
And they started production there. The Canada Top and Body Company produced the cars at their factory starting in 1932. And the building is still there, and the water tower for the plant is still there in Tilbury. It's quite a landmark there. And they produced cars at Tilbury up until the Second World War. And then they started production again in 1950 and produced cars up until 1954 when regular Hudson production stopped. Hudson merged with Nash in 1954 to form American Motors Corporation. And then the Hudson badge lasted until 1957, but those 55, 6, and 7 Hudsons were just rebadged Nashes, and we in the club, Hudson Club, call them hashes.
Hashes.
Hash.
Okay. So you joined the Hudson Club first, and then you found the car through there?
Yes, I've been a member of the club since actually 1980. I purchased a 1928 Essex Super 6,
Okay.
which was a medium-priced car that Hudson produced from 1919 until 1932. And it's a 28 rumble seat coupe, and I joined the club right after I bought it. So I've been a member a long time.
So you're a Hudson Essex kind of guy then. That's
right.
Why the passion for those cars? I mean, why not? I mean, she's gorgeous, I get it. But is there something else that drove you to that? Like maybe your grandfather had one or anything?
No, the only connection we had to a Hudson was a friend of my father's. His brother had a 27 Hudson Club sedan, which when they were in their late teens around, they would toot around in. Now this would have been, you know, in the late 30s and into the Second World War time. But other than that, no connection. I really didn't know anything about them, and I bought that Essex because it was a good, solid car, and it had a rumble seat. Sure.
Okay, so tell me what's original about this car. Is it the original color?
I'm not sure what the original color of the car was, but this is a Hudson color from 1950. It's called Cornish Cream. I mean, Hudsons look good in any color, but
I agree.
it looks particularly good with the yellow and the deep red interior.
Oh, it's magnificent. So who did the restoration? The owner prior to you, like when it was back in the US?
Yes, there was, this has been a club-owned car, like members of the Hudson Essex Terraplane Club have owned this car since probably at least 1990, if not before that. And it was the previous owner who oversaw this restoration.
Wow.
The interior, actually a club member did the interior, and it took them several years to do the interior because there was nothing there.
You know what, I love the quilt work as well. Like that is an artist right there to try and get this looking just right.
The interior is done a little jazzier than the Pacemaker. The Pacemaker was the entry-level line. There was also the mid-range, the Super 6, and top of the line was Commodore. And this interior is done in the style of the Commodore. It's a little jazzier. I mean, the Pacemaker interior is respectable,
Okay.
but the style, for example, the style of the wood graining is Commodore. Having a long strip along here is Commodore. The Pacemaker would have only had a little piece here.
Okay.
And the pattern of the wood graining on the Pacemaker would look like someone put a burlap sack onto that paint.
Oh,
it's attractive.
Yes.
I've seen it,
Yes.
but it wouldn't have the fancy stitching on the panels. It wouldn't have that large chrome piece. The door handles would be simpler.
Yeah.
This has the wind out vent windows.
Right.
The Pacemaker is just a little lever and push it out yourself.
Okay. Wow.
And that's the nature of the...
So there was some, we'll call it customization for lack of better words, when the chance was there to upgrade her?
Yes.
And this is not a power roof or anything, it's a manual?
No, it's power.
It's a power roof
Yes,
as well.
it's... At this time, most of the manufacturers in the late 40s went to a hydraulic system to, a hydraulic piston to push the roof up and pull it back down. And cars at this time, now this car doesn't have it, but the Commodore probably would have, if it was a convertible, the power windows would have been hydraulic too. So there would have been a hydraulic cylinder in the door to push the window up and down.
Amazing. I love the kind of handle behind the seat there. That is just beautiful. Just amazing. Now what powers this car? What kind of motor does it have?
Straight 6. It's an L-head 6. It's called the Super 6, the motor. Hudson never built a V8. Yeah. And the Super 6 motor, they came out with that in 1916.
Okay.
So it's an old design, but it's a great design. I mean, certainly been improved over the years. But the Super 6, when it came out in 1916, it was counterbalanced. The crankshaft was counterbalanced.
Really? For efficiency?
Smoothness and power.
Okay.
because you're not wasting power with vibration. And you know, there were lots of cars, Fords, for example, like a Model A Ford. Now we're talking up to 1931, did not have a counterbalance crankshaft. So your teeth chattered when could chatter when you're in those cars. So this motor is as I said, it's a straight six. It's an L head, which means the intake and exhaust valves are on the same side there.
Right.
And you can see the number, it says 262.
Yeah.
As a pacemaker, it would have come with a 232, which was 112 horse, but someone put a 262 in it, which is a really nice motor, and that's 123 horse.
Fantastic. And when you're driving her around in the summertime here with the heat, no issues keeping her cool or anything if she runs well?
Yeah, the only time it starts heating up is when you're if you get in stop and go traffic with it.
Okay.
It'll start heating up, but when you're going down the road, it runs at a consistent temperature.
Right.
No problems that way.
Talk me through what this is. I'm looking at the mechanism here. What is that? You
Okay,
have
so
both.
that's the, you were looking at pointing to the
Yes.
pulley for
So that
the
is,
windshield wiper system.
is that what it is?
Yes, so
Wow.
there's the motor for the windshield wiper system
Right.
in the center, and that's vacuum operated. See, there's a vacuum line here.
Got it, yes.
That comes from the, it comes from the fuel pump. This has got a what's called a dual action fuel pump, so that when you're pressing on the accelerator, and if you have the windshield wipers on, you don't lose too much speed.
Got it. Wow.
So that's the fuel pump down there.
That is amazing.
And while we're on this side of the motor, here's another. This is a period accessory, a generic. This is a Marvell Mystery Oil injector.
Really?
Yes. So Marvell Mystery Oil came out in the early 20s, and it's an interesting product. You can pour it in the fuel tank, you can pour it in the crankcase, or you can have one of these, and
It actually feeds
you can
it
see,
in?
yeah, there, it takes vacuum from the, sucks it in into the intake, and it lubricates the valves and the pistons.
Now, do they still sell this stuff?
Oh yeah, you
Magic-
can buy it at Canadian Tire.
No way, really? And it's
Yes.
still called Magic Oil?
Marvell Mystery Oil.
Mystery Oil, rather. Wow, that's incredible.
Yes.
Oh, I love it.
And you asked me to honk the horns,
I
so
did.
you
I
can
see the
see it's got
horns.
dual horns.
Yeah.
This is a single barrel Carter carburetor,
Right.
and the air cleaner is an upgrade. It has a bit of oil in it. You can see the oil there.
All right, yes.
So the air passes through that oil, and the dirt will get caught in the oil,
Right.
and then you get clean air going into the carburetor.
And is that a special oil too, or is it the same?
No, it's just regular motor oil.
Wow, interesting. So the viscosity of the oil kind of prevents any debris and dirt and everything from filtering through.
Yeah, the oil itself, I don't think it makes a difference if it's 20 weight or 30 or
Okay.
whatever it is.
The other thing that caught my eye too, Gino, never seen this before. What exactly is this then?
Oh, you have a sharp eye.
It's looking at me thinking, I don't know what it is.
Okay, so let's start with the battery here. So the
Okay.
battery at this time, from early in the 1900s, cars had 6-volt positive ground.
Positive ground, okay.
Okay, and the 2 owners ago changed some of the electrics in the car to 8-volt, so that the starter
Still
would
positive.
still positive ground, and so that the starter would spin faster.
Okay.
So the generator charges 8 volts, and the starter spins on 8 volts. But some of the headlights and the signal lights are on 8-volt, even though there's 6-volt bulbs in them.
Okay.
But all the other bulbs in the car, like for example in the dash,
Yes.
the horns, are all 6. So that coil there knocks the power back down to 6.
Really?
Yes.
So it's like a resistor in a sense, isn't it?
Yes.
My
A little
gosh.
transformer coil,
My
I
God.
think.
This is just amazing. You know what's really cool is when you look at the the engineering over the years and how it's changed to what we call modern day cars. There's just something magical about some of these older cars. Like even the way you open this and it's sitting right there, the spring's there, it's just fantastic. Like it's so, so beautiful. This is the logo from Hudson from back in the day?
That one, yeah, that logo came out, excuse me, in 1946. The inverted triangle was their logo from day one.
Looks like a Pontiac logo.
Well, it was a straight, like a triangle like this.
Right, okay.
Was their original logo from 1909.
Yeah.
And it was, on some of the first cars they produced, it was stamped right into the brass radiator shell.
Really?
But then they came out with, not too far along, they came out with the porcelain type, and it was a white triangle.
It's beautiful. What do the ships and the castle sort of represent? Any idea?
Yes. The castles...
Hang on, is there something you don't know about this car? Like, I am so impressed. Most people say, I have no idea, but okay, keep going.
It's funny because when you're at a meet, people ask questions. Even Hudson people say, can you explain what that means?
Right.
And I know how to...
Okay, go for it. Go
okay,
on,
so you have the original Hudson triangle in the middle.
Right.
And so the castles represent the stability of the organization of the management and the workers, and the car designers and the workers who build the cars.
Okay.
The ships represent the adventurous nature of those who design the cars.
So there's some symbolism behind it. It's not because it just looks cool, but it's actually some meaning behind it, which is amazing.
And this is very attractive because there's a light bulb behind it. So
Get out of here.
When you turn the headlights on, it lights up. It looks very attractive at night.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Oh, you got to like that little extra bling as well. Now, when you look at, if you can put the bonnet down for me. Okay, so basically it's almost effortless, isn't it? Like the springs hold the weight quite well.
Yes, they do exactly their job.
The hood ornament is essentially this. It's kind of a...
That's the pacemaker hood ornament.
Wow.
So this car was cutting edge for the time.
Okay.
And the design features of this car are used on all cars today. And so the body style that Hudson came out with in 1948 is called the step-down design. And it starts with the frame, in that the frame is a mono-built frame.
Okay.
Which some companies, including Hudson, experimented with back in the 30s, but not to a great extent. So you have the mono-built body, which is, or frame and body, which is entirely different than the traditional two-rail frame. And what this did was, they call this the step down because the floor panels here are lower than the frame.
Right.
So all cars are made this way.
So that drops almost what, another 5-6 inches almost.
Right, so when you go to get in the car, you step down to get into it because the frame is over here and then the floorboards go below that and then you have the hump in the middle.
I love it.
All the other cars, all of them, floorboards were level here all the way across.
Got it.
So aside from this being a stronger body, you lowered the center of gravity.
Okay.
And so this car, the Hudson in 1948, starting in 48, had the lowest center of gravity of any North American designed vehicle. Right, and it really paid off for Hudson. In 1951, they got into stock car racing.
Really?
They did.
Okay.
And again, I mentioned earlier, they never had a V8. And look on the logo on the back of my shirt.
Oh yes.
It says 6 = 8.
Yep.
Their winning record on the NASCAR circuit for 51 through 54.
I'm just going to pop this back this way a bit. Yeah.
So the winning record they had from 51 through 54 was the best. They beat all the big three. They were beating Ford, Chevy, Olds, Cadillac, Dodge, Chrysler on the racetrack with a six-cylinder.
With a straight six.
Now, another safety feature that Hudson was famous for is that they have a dual braking system in the car.
Okay.
So it's the basic brake system is hydraulic.
Right.
Drums on all four corners.
Yeah.
If the hydraulic system failed, there was a manual system that would automatically engage and activate the back brakes.
No way.
And they came out with that in 1935.
Years ahead of their time. Talk
Miles
about
ahead.
ingenuity. That is impressive.
Miles ahead.
Wow.
So I have the utmost confidence in the brakes of this car.
Completely. But just that clever engineering as well. I'm just fascinated by that as to how far ahead the engineers were from back in the day that we forget about. I mean, some of the advancements that, you know, they're probably using in modern day race cars now that have stuck, right? Center of gravity, for example. I mean, this is, you know, the first one to create that is remarkable. That's
Yes.
incredible. What else did What a machine. There's just something magnificent about the look of this car, isn't there? You
Yeah,
must
nice-
fall in love every time you look at her.
Nice body lines.
Oh,
nice body
completely,
lines.
completely. Absolutely gorgeous. How much spaces are in the trunk? What do you have here?
Well, I have all the literature that was available at the time. There's
So these
the
are all
paint.
the color options?
That's a paint chip set.
And
there's
there's
Cornish cream, which is this color. Among the younger crowd, it's funny when you're at a car show. You will see. I see it all the time. Little kids who recognize the Hudson,
Right.
and their parents don't know anything about the Hudson. And the reason it is the movie Cars that Disney Pixar came out with in around 2006,
Yes.
I think it was. And one of the stars, the star of the movie was Lightning McQueen.
Right.
But really, the kids loved
This guy.
Doc Hudson.
Yes, absolutely.
And Paul Newman was the voice of Doc Hudson.
Oh, priceless.
And it was the Hudson Hornet, was Doc Hudson.
there you go.
And
Thank you, Disney, and thank you, Pixar, for bringing
exactly.
them back to life.
And in the third, they made 3 of these Cars movies, and in the third one, Smokey is a
Hudson.
1946-47 Hudson pickup
Wow.
truck.
Oh, that's fantastic. I love the fact that they did that.
That's
Beautiful.
right.
What is this magazine here then?
Well, I told you I was a member of the Hudson Essex Terraplane Club,
Right.
and this is our club magazine. It comes out 6 times a year. And actually, the editor of the magazine was born in Waterdown.
Fantastic.
But he lives in the southwestern U.S. And
Right.
the magazine is outstanding. It has great pictures, articles, tech articles,
Oh, fantastic.
and then of course, it has the classified ads in the back.
All right.
And this is where this is a new version. This was July, August of this year. But you can see that there's quite a healthy section of cars for sale,
Oh my.
and the prices are right.
Some are absolute gems.
The clutch system in this car, it's unique to Hudson. So it's standard shift, clutch,
Okay.
the whole bit. And Hudson came out, I think it was in 1910, with a clutch that sat in an oil bath. And here's a pressure plate, and you can see that the friction material here.
Is cork.
Right. So all those corks you pull out of your wine bottles,
Yeah.
you should be saving them
Look at
because you
that.
can repair your Hudson clutch with those.
My God.
And it sits in an oil bath, and you could get this clutch fluid from your Hudson dealer.
Right.
And about every 5,000 miles, they recommend you change it. And the clutch is silky smooth.
Oh my God.
There's no chattering. You don't have chattering, roughness.
Beautiful engineering right there again.
And
Hey, I noticed something. Sorry. The logo here is slightly different to what's on your car with the placement of the castle and the ships.
That's right. I'm not sure what the difference is, but
Okay.
that's the triangle's still there, the castle's there, and so are the
they move
ships.
things around a bit, but here you go. Fantastic. Absolute joy there, Gino. So I do have a question. I notice here, obviously your gas goes there. If you had to change the rear tire, how do you do that?
Oh, it's a
bit of an ordeal,
job,
isn't it?
Yes, I mean the fender skirt does come off,
Yeah.
but you can see it only goes up to here.
Mm-hmm.
So when you jack the car up from back here in the corner, you got to lift. The jack needs to pick the car way up,
Considerably,
so
okay.
that the wheel comes down, or you will never get it out of there.
Right.
To clear the
So
the
you got
top
enough
part here.
space to unscrew the nuts, but that's about it then, isn't it? And then
Not really.
Not
You
even
don't.
that. You'd struggle with
You
that
don't.
too.
Yeah. You don't. Like if you compare the white walls on the front to the backs,
Yeah.
you can see the backs are dirty.
All right. It's hard to get
Because
there.
I have to. If I really want to do a good job, I have to take the skirts off.
Yeah. Or you could drive it up every few inches and do it that
I
way.
can do
but-
that too.
My gosh. Beautiful, beautiful machine. I love the chrome trim and the elements. It's the little things that always get me. Things like this on the door handle.
Yep. That plate is an extra. This little piece on the gas door, that's an extra.
Extra as in it would have been stock with the pacemaker, or
No dealer installed
dealer
type
installed.
of
So
thing.
you have to pay extra for these things.
Yes.
Okay.
The spotlights here.
I love the spotlights.
The spotlights, the heater, the radio. Now the spotlights, before we go to the front, it's funny what people ask you about at car cruise nights and shows. And they always, like a common question, people ask, what are these? And, I tell them they're a spotlight.
Right.
And they say, well, what are they used for? They're like a cop. And I say, well, I use them to see the address when I'm delivering pizzas.
No. But hey, there's some truth to that because you can't see the address half the time, but there is. And you turned it on how? There's a switch on
There's a
it?
switch right here.
Oh, for crying out loud. Gino, it's lovely.
So these are made by Unity, which made all kinds of this type of spotlight.
Got it.
But you can see it has the Hudson
that too.
plate on it.
Man, the attention to detail on this car. Beautiful, beautiful.
And,
And the fact it has two, because normally they only have the one, or police cars generally have the one.
yeah, there's two, and most of the guys have two on their cars.
The antenna I notice is pointing down.
That's right. So that's in that position when you're driving. But if you're going to actually use the radio
Yeah.
and you want better reception,
You'd actually.
there's a knob under or just above the rear view mirror,
Oh,
and you turn
twist
that,
it?
and then it points
Oh.
up.
That's priceless. Wow. May I take a look
get through
inside?
this first. Sure.
Look at that. This little extra piece right there.
That's from the Commodore.
Beautiful. Ashtray, I'm assuming they're Gino?
Yes. Yeah, the cigar lighter, which is right here. That's an extra. And they called it a cigar lighter, not a cigarette lighter.
Cigar lighter.
Cigar.
Well, yeah. You know what's really interesting? You've got two glove boxes, sort of, do you?
Yes.
And the speedometer is off center a bit,
Yes.
as opposed to right here. Fantastic. Please tell me, is this a stock radio? This is what
yes.
would have come with the
yes.
car?
No, it's the radio is extra,
Okay.
but it is the standard Hudson radio.
So period correct.
Yes.
And I love the heater system down there too.
That's an extra, and it throws a lot of heat, that heater.
Wow. Just a beautiful, beautiful machine.
Here, let me show you some technology,
Yes.
some more technology that's in your car. Okay, so we're just going to turn the key on.
Yeah.
You can see we have
Oil. Amperage. Okay, you got
the lights.
Wow.
We call them idiot lights.
Right, right.
Now that's an old old innovation by Hudson, 1931.
Okay, so in that first setting, or that first position, you get the lights popping on too.
Right, and you don't want those lights to come on because you
Ever.
know what it means.
Yes.
You don't have oil pressure or
Yeah.
you're having problems with charging. And the paint, that paint kind of glows at night. Now there's a light in there behind the temp and fuel gauge, and same with the speedometer and clock. But this paint in particular has, it's radioactive.
Yes, it's like the old watches from back in the day, right?
Yes,
They would glow in the dark.
yes.
Fantastic. And you got two levers, one for the lights there.
This one is for parking lights.
Okay.
And then headlights.
Nice.
And then this one is for the fog lights.
Okay.
The amber fog lights at the front.
Right.
And those two are a dealer installed item.
Okay. This switch here?
That's the push button for the starter.
Fantastic.
And high-low beam down here.
Right.
This activates the overdrive.
Okay. And what about those two knobbies right in the middle where it says Supermatic Drive? What does that do?
Well, that's a big question because there was the drive to develop an automatic transmission.
Right.
And Hudson didn't use an automatic transmission until 1951.
Okay.
The Hydromatic, they got it from GM.
All right.
So there were different systems that Hudson tried, starting from the mid-30s, to help people with the standard shift. Because, using the clutch and shifting, people didn't like doing that.
Right.
And so the Supermatic drive had a mechanism, a very complex mechanism under
Okay.
the hood that was a combination of primitive electrics and vacuum that helped cut down on using this and using that.
Wow.
And I've actually only seen one car in the club that it worked on.
It's functioning. Okay.
That's right, and it's a pacemaker as well.
Really?
Which
Okay.
is kind of funny. And I mean, the car is what we would call a driver car. It's
Right.
a very reliable car because the guy that owns it, he often gets the long distance award
Really?
for driving to the club meets.
Okay.
But he leaves his hood open because that mechanism is there.
Amazing.
I have the complete mechanism, but there's no way I'll ever put it on the car because trying to get it to work, forget it.
No, right on.
Forget it.
Oh, she's beautiful.
When we were talking about the step down design, you'll also notice that the side of the car is flat.
Yes.
And there's no bulge around the fenders.
Very true.
Okay,
Yes.
so Kaiser was actually the first car after the Second World War to have the slab side design, but they were very low production cars, and Hudson came out in '48 with this slab design. Ford and Mercury came out in '49 with theirs, and Chevy and Chrysler didn't come out until '55
Oh.
with the slab side. They still had the bulging fenders.
And they call it slab?
I call it slab.
Okay.
Some people say streamlined.
Okay.
Some people say sleek.
Because step down is a bit of an attractive word versus slab, which is not so attractive, but okay.
No, well, I mean, people didn't really talk about that as slab side or bulging fenders, but they talked about the smoothness of the design, aerodynamics,
For sure.
and that type of thing.
Incredible. Just beautiful, Gino. Just a beautiful, beautiful machine. Just makes you smile every time, doesn't it? Makes you a kid again.
It sure does.
Okay, let's go for a quick drive. Even the way this is all solid gets me too. Like everything about this car. The tail light designs, oh, you know what I forgot to ask you? The exhaust. They always had this design?
That's just a tip on the end of the pipe, and
Okay, but always pointed down?
Yep, to keep the hot exhaust gases
Away
off the
from
bumper.
chrome, yeah.
Because even that's starting to discolor. Even
Yeah.
I think it's stainless, but it would discolor the chrome.
For sure.
And that's a dealer dealer add-on or a dealer accessory.
Wow. Okay, let's go for a quick drive.
Okay.
I'm surprised it has seat belts actually.
Well, the seat belts is one of the things I put on the car after we got it.
Okay, but essentially when the car was new, it would not have been an option, right? Oh,
No.
back in the day. Oh,
No.
hang on a second. Oh, and I forget there's 3, of course, because you have possibly somebody in the middle too.
That's right.
Beautiful. Okay.
See, so the
Yes.
dummy lights went out, which is good.
It's a good sign.
Yes.
Look at this, though. I love the gauges.
Yeah, this was the gauges, the way that the dash is designed. This is basically the tail end of the Art Deco styling in cars.
So now you said this is a power roof.
Yes,
How do you actually get the roof to go up and down? What's the control for that?
this one. So
Oh,
if we
that
were gonna
big
put
lever.
it, if we were
Yes.
going to put it up, I
Yes.
push it in
Got it.
to
Oops.
make it go up
Yeah.
or go back, pull it back.
Fantastic.
So there's a hydraulic pump back there. And ooh,
And look at you shifting the gears too.
see how nice and smooth that clutch
Oh my
was?
gosh. But even the engine is so smooth. Who needs a big V8?
Dylan, these things truck down the road. I mean, we take it. We rarely drive it on the highway,
Right.
but we do take it out once a year. The Northern Ramblers Car Club has a meet up around Port Perry every year in June,
Okay.
and they invite the Hudsons, any mark that ended up folding into
Right.
AMC. And so to get there, we take the 407, and you know, it just clocks right along.
So the gearing itself is how many up? Like 1 up? Where's the first gear?
First is down.
Down, okay.
Second is here.
Right.
Third is down,
Okay.
and then reverse is sort of
Towards
back.
you,
So
okay.
it's the same as the floor shifter.
Yeah.
Except it's up here.
Got it.
Okay.
Oh, there we go.
That's
Had
good.
you worried for a minute, didn't it?
It did.
Oh, Gino. She's an absolute doll.
Now to make the heater work, to get airflow through the heater, we got to put the that up and then move that over
Look
to
at
heat.
that.
And I'll put it on low, and that'll be more than enough for us.
My goodness.
And the turn signals aren't self-canceling, so I have to remember
Gotta
what I'm
remember
doing.
to do it, yes. Gino, you must get so many thumbs up driving this beauty.
Don't get too many get lots of thumbs up with this one, lots of center fingers with the Essex, because it's so slow and
But it's a character.
oh, it is.
I'm impressed with how smooth this car is. And you're right about the heater. Like, it's a bit chilly, but this is working beautifully.
Yeah, it's a nice heater.
It's almost effortless, isn't it? Like the amount of power you have in this thing.
It's got a lot of low-end torque,
Yeah.
and I mean, it's sitting on springs as well as shocks.
Right.
The seats have foam in them,
Yeah.
and the tires have the original tread pattern, but they're steel belted radials.
Okay. And what size are the tires on this, or the rims? Are they 70, 50?
50. Yeah, and the tires are made by these tires are made by Coker in Chattanooga.
Oh, this is a pleasure to drive. Look at the speedometer too. So how many miles on this?
29,444.
Plus, could it have gone around the clock, you think?
I have no idea when that was set. The steering's pretty good.
Right. But no power steering, no power brakes.
No.
So you got to plan ahead.
Yes.
Before you do anything drastic. And it's the other drivers you got to watch out for.
Yeah, when you're driving an older car, you have to not only be aware of your own car, but you're driving many cars in front. You're looking behind, all around. It's exhausting. It's even
sure.
It's even worse with the Essex because of stopping distance.
Do you still have the Essex?
Yes.
Oh, you kept both. Wonderful.
Yes. Well, I had the Essex before I got married.
Ah, okay.
So
that was one of the conditions for getting married?
My wife knows it's my first love.
You know she's going to listen to this, right?
Oh, she's heard me say that.
She's okay.
She knows it. But okay. I wanted to get like a step down Hudson, but there we go in reverse.
Of course, there's no indicator to tell you that you're in
No.
reverse, first, second. You just kind of go with it. Yep.
But I wanted a four-door sedan, and she said no. She wanted a convertible, and I said I don't want a convertible because you deal with a lot of other problems. Well, potential problems.
Yeah.
I mean, they're flashy, and everyone loves convertibles, but she wanted a convertible, and then this one came up for sale. I saw it in the club magazine, and we bought it.
Oh, it's magnificent. It's just a beautiful, beautiful car. Now the wood finish on here, what is this wood even? Like, it looks pretty exotic.
It's steel, and it's the finish is called wood graining, and that's
Just a minute. This is steel?
steel.
For crying out loud, I can use some choice language right now. I honestly thought it was like spalted wood or something fancy like that.
No.
It's steel.
Yeah, even my Essex has that on the dash and around the window frames.
Wow.
And
They've done a fantastic job. Whoever redid the car to mimic that is just beautiful.
Yeah, there's guys who do that, and it's an actually an ancient process. It dates back, I think, a few thousand years.
Right.
But I mean, it was commonly used in the automobile industry from the early 1900s, well into the 50s.
Good.
And and then they went to the plastic wood, the stick-on stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I notice when you're shifting the clutch, do you have to pedal all the way down to the floor, or is it just part way?
I put it all the way to the floor.
Right?
Yeah, you're supposed to do that.
So you get a little bit of a workout at the same time.
Well, this has synchromesh transmission, which was common at the time, but like the Essex, you double clutch it.
Yeah.
So when you're in first and you're going to second, you push the clutch in to get it into neutral,
Right.
and again to get it into second.
Yes, it's a two-step process, isn't it?
Yeah.
I have another question, Gino. Behind the clock, there's another smaller gauge with F and S on it. What is that?
Slow and fast to adjust the clock so it keeps time.
No! Oh my gosh! And this little knobby is what you use to do the adjusting?
Yes, to change the arms.
Right.
That one you have to change from, I think, on the back. I've never touched it.
Man.
So you could get this at the time, for just over $2,400.
Back in the day.
Back in the day, yes.
Still, that's a pretty good sum.
It is. It
Yeah,
was.
yeah.
You know,
How many of these particular cars were produced? Do you have any idea?
I'm not exactly sure how many convertibles were produced, but not many. Not many.
Most were the sedans?
Yes, and hardtops. And the Pacemaker was a very popular line for Hudson. They produced, I think, about 123,000 cars in 1950, and about half of them were Pacemakers, and then the other half were Commodores and Super 6s.
Okay.
They probably only made a couple thousand convertibles. And I've actually, you know, at all the club meets, I've never seen another. I saw one when we were in California.
Yeah.
We went to this winery near outside of San Diego.
Okay.
And they had a magnificent collection of mostly 50s North American built cars.
Really?
And
At the winery?
the wine wasn't great.
But the cars are spectacular.
that part of California is not really wine country,
Right.
like the way Sonoma is and
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
And they had this museum with all these convertibles in it and beautiful neon signs,
Right.
dealer signs. And there was a 1950 Hudson convertible, Pacemaker convertible there, and it had the original style dash greening on it and all that.
Beautiful.
So I got some good pictures of
I
that.
bet you did. I
Yes.
bet you did. Wow, Gino, she's lovely. Thank you. Gino,
Oh, you're welcome.
thank you. This has been an incredible car. You're a wealth of knowledge about the car. You're like
Thank
a
you.
walking dictionary, for crying out loud. I am so thrilled to have had the chance to have met you today, to actually look at the car up close and personal, and it's just a beautiful machine. So thank you.
Oh, thank you, Kevin. It was my pleasure to be able to talk about it.